Okay, so just like our studies from before, let's have a look at the features of the mouth and some of the important things. So the lips are gonna come in all sorts of shape and sizes. You're gonna have thin lips, you're gonna have thick lips, you're gonna have big lips, you're gonna have puffy lips, everything. You're gonna see some male with feminine lips, you're gonna see some female with masculine lips. It's just all over the place. There's a lot of mix match of these features, and there is just endless variety. So, just like I told you, this is why we are learning how to make a generic face, and then you can morph it into anything. So, when you also study the generic face, you create a big foundation. So, let's say you studying the lips, and you see someone with big lips, you see someone with thin lips, you don't know what to study. So, just study the generic lips. And let me tell you some of the generic features. For males especially, you're going to see that the sides, the edges of the lower lip, okay, these edges, they're going to be pretty flush. They're going to be very smooth. Whereas in females, you can actually see the edges. Okay, so you can see the edges of the lips over here. They're not flush, they're not smooth. And also you can see this dude over here. He has pretty feminine lips. So that is something to keep in account. Also, the lips, you need to imagine them as having a M shape. So the lips, they have an M shape on the top, and then they have a curve in the bottom, and then a curve in the lower lip as well. So you're going to notice this M shape every time. Also, in some lips like this, the middle crease is also going to be an M shape. Okay, so if you notice, this has a M shape in the bottom and an M shape on the top. I don't have a side view reference. Let me look for a side view reference. Just a sec. Mouth side view. And here's the important thing that I want to show you. So whenever you look from the side view, the lips are always going to be in this angle. The upper lip will always be ahead of the lower lip. Maybe not always. If someone has a jaw problem, or if someone doesn't have a good jaw structure, they might be like this. And then in that case, the lower lip would be ahead of the front lip. So but generally, you can notice even over here, the upper lip is ahead of the lower lip. Over here, over here, over here. So and we're focusing on the general shapes. So that is what we want to take into account. That is what we want to make note of. And also, what I wanted to show you is that the upper lip overlaps a bit of the lower lip. It doesn't really make sense over here, but it will when we sculpt this. And another feature is that we have muscles over here. So sometimes these muscles are going to create shapes like this. So this is a very prominent shape, and an exaggerated version of this is Hellboy. So you can really see this muscle over here. Okay. And also in the side view, let's open the side view again. You're going to notice that the upper lip, it points downwards. And the lower lip, it points upwards. So we have these angles over here. We have this angle, and then we have this angle. This is very important. So let's sculpt the lips. It's very, very, very easy. So what you want to do is simply let's mark where the lower lip would be. And if you have practice, which I'm sure you have, you're not a cheater, you don't have a monkey brain. So the lower lip is halfway between the bottom of the nose and the bottom of the chin. So this is where the lower lip would be, and above it would be the middle of the lip. So let's just draw the middle of the lips. And how wide should they be? Just imagine that your character has eyes and then a straight line down just right over here. This is how wide the lips are going to be. And what you want to do at the edges is to really dig in the edges. Okay. Once you have this shape, once you have this crease, let's go to the front view, go to the grab brush, and then simply, let me have a reference. Where's my reference? Yeah. Let me minimize this. I'm switching to the mouse again. So just minimize this. Let's move it to the side. Let's study this lip. This is a nice, even looking lip, a generic lip. What you want to do is to move it. Let me dig this a bit more. Just dig. Let's push this a bit more. And then what you want to do is use the grab brush and then start to make this M shape. Okay, just pull this upper lip up and try to get the M shape. And try to get a neutral expression, because if you stretch them wide enough, if you make them up enough, it's going to smile or something. So we don't want to have an expression. We just want a neutral expression on our character. And you see, we're starting to get a good shape for the upper lip. Let's move this down because we're going to crease this. And here, I was telling you that the bottom lip is quite flush. So and also it is below the lower lip. The upper lip overlaps it. So we want to push this in. And to push it in, we're going to use the clay strips brush. So just hold control. Why isn't my screencast on? Okay. So just push this in, hold control, and you want to flush this out. Okay, and then smooth it. And now you see that you can see what I was talking about. So the upper lip is above the lower lip and it sort of overlaps it as well. Okay. And also I told you that the lower lip should be pointing upwards. So just use the scrape brush and then scrape this a bit. And when you scrape this, you're going to start to have this angle and then just smooth. Okay. Now this isn't really looking very nice. So let's use the clay strips brush, add a bit of a volume here. This should be round. Okay, the upper lip is quite round while the lower lip is relatively flat. Let's remesh once. And this is what happens when you remesh. So just use the crease brush. Let's crease the center part. Also, on the edges of the mouth, we have fat pads. So there is some sort of fat over here. And in some faces, it's not very prominent. This is the fat that I'm talking about. This one. This fat. It's not really prominent, but it's always good to add it and then smooth it out. So we have some sort of hint. And also, like we noticed, like we discussed, the lower lip should be behind. So currently our upper lip is behind and our lower lip is forward. So you can either pull this out like this. You can do this, or alternatively, you can just mask the lower lip. Mask a bit of this area as well. Just mask this area, invert the mask, go to the side view, and then push this in. Okay, so either way works. So let's use the draw sharp brush. Let's push this in. Let's smooth it out a bit as well. Let's add the fat pad that I was telling you about. So just simply cut it diagonally like this, diagonally, and then add a bit of it over here, over the upper lip, and then just smooth. Okay, so even if you want to smooth this, you still need to add it and then smooth so that it has some sort of form, some sort of shape. It looks really nice. There's the lip again. And yeah, now I'm just going to follow the reference that we made. So now I'm just going to follow this dude. Let us add in a bit more volume, use the draw sharp. And remember the the muscle that I told you about, this one. So you can just carve this in like this and then smooth it. So you will also have some of these forms. You can also use the scrape brush and flatten this area out a bit and then smooth again. So for the bottom lip, the lip is gonna have some edge. So just use the draw sharp, hold control, and then pull this out. Okay, very, very subtle. If this was a female lip, we would have drawn it like this. And also we would have made it a lot more puffy, a lot more volume, a lot more round. This is how we would have made female lip. Something like this, yeah, but we will do it in a separate video. I will show you how you can convert this into a female and also the differences between male and female. Yeah, we'll cover everything. This part is very round. We don't want it round. We want it relatively flat. Just scrape this area. Okay, and let's just simply crease over here the edges. Let's crease on the center. And the upper lip is just way too ahead. So let's just move this in a bit. Let's just dial it down a bit. Okay, so that is how we make a generic mouth, a generic lips. We can pull this out a bit. And also an important feature is this part, this dip over here. And that is really simple to make. Very simple. Just use the draw sharp brush. And how wide should it be? Just make it equal to this, the center part of the nostril, the separation between the nostrils. And yeah, just dig this in. And then smooth it out. Then dig it in, smooth it out. Dig it in, smooth it out. Just keep doing it until you have something that is satisfactory. This is a bit wider. Just move it in, smooth it out. Yeah, this looks good. So our character is almost complete. In the next video, we will learn how to sculpt the eyes. So let's do that. Let's also add a bit of meat, some fat in this area, and then smooth it out. Okay, we want to really smooth it out as we go forward because we don't want it to look old. I told you, if you really emphasize the nasolabial fold, this fold, it's gonna look old. It's not gonna look youthful. Just add in the feature and then blend it. Just smooth it. Let's tighten this crease. Yeah. Okay, looks good. Just practice this mouth. What's this? Let's add a bit more volume over here. Yeah, this is good enough to proceed. So we can proceed. Also, just try not to have some sort of expression over here. You can also dip it down a bit. And that way it looks like it's pretty neutral expression, a serious expression. And I told you that sometimes the center crease also has a M shape. So just simply move it down a bit. Pull this part like this. Okay. So yeah, this is looking nice. I'll see you in the next video.